boat still has the classic Cheoy Lee wood hatches, and they are in need of some repair. So I've taken the centermost one out. There are 3 that are exposed. The 4th one on the cabin top is underneath the Dodger, and it's still in good shape. It basically doesn't age at all. So we've taken this hatch off, and to put it in its place, I've built a temporary enclosure that is sized so that it'll fit on all 3 of the hatches that need to be refurbished, because all 3 of them are different sizes, of course. So let's go topside and take a look at that piece. So here is the removed hatch, and the temporary piece is here, and it's just a piece of press board that has been completely covered in epoxy, and we've got just a loop here to accept a spare piece of rope so we can tie it down from the inside for security. And let's see how it works. Yeah, not bad. And you can see I've curved it so it matches the curvature of the cabin top. That's the forwardmost hatch that we have to do, and then the sister hatch over here. So the hull curvature is the same for these 2. Up there it's a little bit different, so I just kind of met this in the middle, and I've got foam rubber to compensate, so should work great. So from down below you can see the eye bolt that we'll just tie some spare rope to. And there's a little bit of daylight showing through, but if I pull down on the top, it almost eliminates it to squeeze the rubber seal there. But the top part of the cabin top kind of curves like this. So it's going to take a hellacious wind to get any moisture in here, and I'll get the hatch back on as soon as I can anyway. So there we go, all secured for the next few days. Works for me. Holy crap, I had no idea these hatches had gotten this bad. Starting to take the hardware off. See what the varnish used to be like at one point in time. Yeah, they are overdue for an overhaul. Well, 40 screws later, and it's apart. It is quite a mess. But the plexiglass is not crazed, it's just dirty, and I don't know if it's possible to get this clean or not. Not sure what I'm going to do next. Little visit to the wire wheel on this guy here. Used to look like that. Comes right off. So I'm starting it on the wood frame. You can see there's a lot of bad varnish on here, and it just kind of flakes off quite easily. We've got some teak that's been bare for quite some time, and the rest of this should come off fairly easy because it is just wasted away. So it's gonna be a lot of work. Gonna get all the old sealant up, and this will probably take 4 to 6 hours to get this ready for sanding. Well, the old varnish came off surprisingly easy with I had a real light touch with some 80 grit and then hand sanded to smooth it out. Still got some cleanup to do in the sealing track. But wood's in excellent shape. Excited to get going more. Of course, the work goes a lot easier if you can have sailing videos going on while you're working your shop. So I've sanded our initial cover of 105 and 207. And I started to put on some varnish here. So yeah. So I'm using Interlux Schooner 96. I haven't used the Schooner 96 from Interlux before, but wow, it really goes on really easily, smoothly. You can't really screw it up. I'm a little disappointed on the dark areas. That's a reaction to the West Systems 105-207 combo, because I sanded this all down to really clean wood. So it's a little darker than I thought, but I mean, with the varnish on it, it's kind of brightened it up a little bit. All in all, I kind of like it. I just put it on so it's super glossy right now. And hopefully the Lexan will be in the next 2 to 3 days, and we can, in the interim, get another coat of varnish or two on and get her done. I forgot to mention that in between the West Systems 105-207 combo, after I cleaned it up with sandpaper, I used denatured alcohol to clean that up. That was a recommendation by Seahawk Boat Works up in Port Townsend. A friend of mine said, no, we don't do acetone on that. So I like to scratch in a kind of a crosshatch. So just doing this for demo purposes. I don't know if you can see it, but obviously the scratches are going this direction. And then I'll do the opposing one. So you're left with a nice X pattern that really provides a good gripping surface. Sorry. So we'll see how that turns out. So we've got one coat of epoxy and a couple of coats of varnish on now, and I'm going to start working on cutting the polycarbonate sheet, which is right here. I'm going to cut it on a table saw, which you're supposed to be able to do. And then I plan on sealing the main flat area with butyl tape. And then, I don't know if you can tell, but there's kind of a groove around the outside on all 4 sides. And I'm going to fill that in with silicone. And again, the butyl tape on the inside. And then we'll tape it all up so it doesn't get all over the place. So using the old lens as a template, I'm going to mark this up. There we go. All right, so the old material is plexiglass, and I'm going to put, that's an acrylic, and I'm going to put polycarbonate sheeting in, like Lexan is one of the brand names you've probably heard of. So to cut it, you don't want a big choppy blade, you want a finer blade, and I still got this Trex blade from doing some deck work, and I think it'll work great, and I've got it just thick enough to do the job. You don't want it up high and chopping down through your material. So let's take a crack at it here. I got a plastic bath here. So I'm going to match my pieces of green tape so I have the right corner. And then I'm just going to tape these together with enough tape to make it secure. And then we'll drill holes and then we'll countersink. That should be good. Let's see, kind of a job that did. Plexiglass is acrylic, and that's what came off. I'm putting polycarbonate back. It's a little bit more prone to scratching, but I don't really care about that. I'm pretty careful about not walking on the hatches, except in in kind of extreme conditions where you have to put your feet where they'll go. So, as you can see, hopefully, this is cracked there. This one is cracked pretty much all the way across the corner. So polycarbonate won't do that. It's soft, it's real bendy, it won't tear, it's not prone to cracking. As you saw, it cuts really good with a saw, although you can cut plexiglass that way too. But when you drill it, you don't have to worry about cracking there, and I just thought that's the way to go. So now I'm gonna drill these guys by hand because it's really difficult to line them up in the drill. So this will work a lot easier. All right, so now we have all of our holes drilled, and we can take the tape off because we need access to the top of our new surface so we can countersink the holes. All right, so now we got to pick out the appropriate countersink. I'm gonna guess it's the 3/8. Yeah, looks like perfect size. So countersink is more of as much art as it is science. So you just kind of go trial and error. And with the screws that are going in, the head should just fit in. We're a little short here. That's perfect. It just kind of tucks in there just enough so when it goes in the correct way, still some silicone on that guy, it'll set flush. And the other thing I did that, as you can see, is I chose to pull back the protective paper. I tried a couple through the paper, but it makes it really hard to see. So in preparation of putting the polycarbonate sheet back in there, I'm taping off every place I don't want silicone to go. All right, so I didn't film all of it, but what I've done, you saw the tape job, and then I put in a butyl tape around the entire perimeter, and then you can kind of see the squeeze mark here, and I put a bead of silicone right on the outermost edge to try to get as much of this gap filled up with Sorry, get the camera in the right spot. Try to get some of this gap filled in here so water doesn't sit there. Again, these hatch covers are typically always covered in port, so they're only exposed to weather when we're actually out sailing. So I've pre-started all the screws. I want to start them all by hand, and miraculously everything lined up perfectly. So now I'm going to drive them down close with a power drill with the clutch set very, very light on it, and then I'll hand tighten them all at the end. So I got pretty lucky with the silicone because it just squeezed up and I was able to brush it back onto the tape with a paper towel. So time to get out the dolphinite, and that is this stuff. That's what I'm going to use to put on the threads of the screws that holds the hardware on for the hinges. These guys will go on. Whoops. These guys will go on there. Now this is a bit of a painstaking process putting dolphinite on each fastener, but I think it's really important to get it right. Not that much. There we are. So I talked about earlier why I chose polycarbonate over acrylic, or Lexan over Plexiglass. This is Lexan. Let's see you do that with Plexiglass. All right, so we've flipped the hatchback over and varnished the underside, did a little bit of sanding and prep work. So we are really getting close to done. So here we go, the hinges are back on. We got the snaps, and everything's turned out really good. I managed to very carefully put on one more coat of varnish. And this is the #1 hatch up in the bow. It's right above the entrance to the head in the Cheoy Lee 44. Looking good.